Hello and welcome to the Rested with an Eye podcast, where we explore travel time rather than destinations and the joys and surprises of shared transport. For many, travelling on buses, boats and trains is now a lifestyle choice. My name's Mark Selby. I love the theatre of travel, discovering the stories of journeys and learning how people use their travel time. Saving and making money. Previously, we heard how Leonie Muller chose to live on a train rather than pay rent for her apartment. The all-in ticket was about 15% cheaper than her rent. Far less dramatic, but still cost-effective, is travelling overnight on coaches, trains and planes to save on hotel bills. Jodie from Abu Dhabi has vivid memories of her overnight travels in Australia by Greyhound bus to save money. And you never know who your fellow passengers will be, or sometimes are. One friend, drowsily disembarking from an overnight flight, was surprised when a crew member asked what it had been like to spend the night beside Julia Roberts. Kevin in Copenhagen remembers the hijinks of overnight trips on the magic bus from London to Athens in the 1970s. The journey cost £25 and took 3.5 days. 2 drivers took turns to drive, with one sleeping on the back seat. The drivers would often swap over without stopping the bus. It's been described as a bewildering manoeuvre that involved the accelerator being kept flat on the floor as the seat occupant changed. For some, the trip was a rite of passage, creating lasting friendships. For others, it was a nightmare that's been embellished and shared ever since. Living or sleeping on trains and buses is one way of saving money. There are many others, such as buying tickets in advance, choosing slower routes and times to travel, or using clever apps that legally gameplay ticketing systems. The savings can be significant and warrant investigation. Whatever ticket you choose, at the end of the day, you have a good idea how much your bus, boat or train journey cost. The price is there on your ticket or screen. It might seem exorbitant. By contrast, it's not so easy to calculate the cost of driving your own car somewhere. It's not just the cost of refuelling or recharging. The hidden costs can be insane. There's the cost of acquiring the vehicle, depreciation, tax, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and parking costs for something that will only be driven for 3.5% of its life. Yes, the average private car spends 96.5% of its life parked. And often that parking must be paid for as well. In Amsterdam, it's claimed that 30% of vehicles driving in the city are simply looking for a parking spot. In America, the cost of car insurance has risen by 40% in the last 2 years as the scale of damage caused by the larger, heavier SUVs and pickup trucks people are buying has escalated, and repair costs have rocketed. The hidden costs of car ownership are high. It's no wonder that many people are turning to car share schemes and rentals. Ownership is a high price to pay for the convenience of a car parked outside. It might be cheaper to pay for taxis. When the UK began drink driving breath tests, some insurance companies introduced policies that would cover the cost of taxis to and from work if you lost your driving licence for the duration of the suspension. A friend purchased one of these policies and was caught drink driving. He and his wife owned 2 cars. When the driving suspension ended, he realised that being driven was much better than driving to work each day. His productivity had rocketed, working in the back of the taxi. So he sold one car and continued with taxis for his commute. It was cheaper than owning the second car. But it's not just a question of cost. The financial opportunities that can arise from travelling with strangers are plentiful. as John from Norfolk told me about the travelling aunt. One day, a woman and her nephew took a train to Scotland. The nephew started talking with another passenger and introduced his aunt with the words, "This is my aunt, she's a theologian." The passenger smiled and said he'd studied theology at Oxford. This unsettled the aunt, who had a 1-year diploma in the subject. To avoid getting out of her depth, she began talking about her plans to visit Turkey. This was not true, and she felt uncomfortable fibbing, especially as she was Sister Agatha, the Mother Superior of a convent. The convent at the time had debts of £100,000, and financial ruin beckoned. The conversation continued. After they'd exchanged addresses and parted, the gentleman sent her details of places to visit in Turkey with the message, "When you've been, let me know." She now felt obliged to make the trip, adding even more debt to the convent's perilous finances. But she went and fell in love with Turkey. She established a friendship with a theologian who, it transpired, worked for the billionaire philanthropist Paul Getty, and he offered to introduce Sister Agatha to Getty. The Mother Superior recalls going to see Getty at his mansion in London. In the lift on the way up, there were cushions embroidered with the legend, "Money is the root of all evil, but it does help." She entered and boldly asked straight out for £250,000. He was absolutely sweet to me, she recalls. I said to him, "The nuns are on their knees and they've got arthritis, and if you give me the money now, I'll go away and leave you in peace." Getty responded that nobody had ever asked him for money like that and offered her £125,000 on the spot. Her response was, "Done. That was what I wanted." It's amazing what financial benefits can result from talking to a stranger on a train. Other passengers use their travel time to earn an income or to explore new careers. John LeCarre wrote his first novel on the train, commuting to his job at MI5. The book introduced the master spy, George Smiley. In America, Jeffrey Deaver wrote crime novels on his commute to a Wall Street law firm. He stopped practicing law to focus on a more rewarding career as a best-selling author. Anthony Trollope had a knee-mounted desk made so that he could write on a train. Thankfully, tables are more plentiful these days. Musicians, too, have used their travel time. Strauss and Dvorak were great train fans and composed on their travels, as did Percy Grainger and Duke Ellington, who wrote many of his songs on buses and trains when touring with his orchestra. If you want to enter the creative economy, commuting can be an ideal start. The regular journey time provides a consistent period for disciplined and focused work, and the characters, conversations and sights around you can provide inspiration if sought. Determined writers know where to board their regular train for access to a table and power socket. Some even head in the opposite direction to join the train to work at an earlier stop and increase the likelihood of nabbing that desk and window seat. I wonder how many of our fellow passengers are writing tomorrow's blockbuster novels and songs right now around us. The opportunities to save and earn money on shared transport are there to be grasped. Until next time, enjoy your travels. Thank you for listening to the Rested with an Eye podcast. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast service and share with a friend. I look forward to hearing from you and sharing your travel stories. Please email restedpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to everyone that has contributed to Rested with an Eye so far. Enjoy your travel time.